Well, hello, and welcome to Gallifrey's Most Wanted. I'm Ross Aiken. I'm Old Who.
You are live on channel 44,000. Please do not swear.
And I'm Victoria Wheeler. I'm New Who.
The android. The android.
Welcome to the Weakest Link.
And folks, after 5 years and a couple months, we have finally made it to the end of the first series of New Who. I was like, why is that? I don't know why it took us a little longer. It just feels like it's a little longer. But we haven't finished the season of Tennant yet.
Mm-mm.
And we haven't finished the season of Matt Smith. So we're getting, I think we're close on both. Those will be our next ones. We'll look when we get to the end.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot to talk about in this one. So let me jump to the synopsis and we'll be right back. Bad Wolf and the Parting of the Ways. Story 1.10. Writer Russell T. Davies. Director Joe Ahern. Producer Phil Collinson. Executive producers Julie Gardner, Russell T. Davies, and Mal Young. Originally aired June 11th and June 18th, 2005. The Doctor finds himself in a futuristic version of Big Brother where those contestants voted out are apparently disintegrated. Rose is similarly trapped in on an edition of The Weakest Link hosted by the Android, which vaporizes losing players, while Jack is on What to Wear, in which androids Trina E. and Zuzina plan to give him a complete bodily makeover. The Doctor learns from housemate Linda that the people are forcibly teleported into the games to win or die. Determined to find Rose, he gets himself evicted, reasoning that whoever brought him here does not want him dead. He discovers he is on Satellite 5 100 years after his last visit and renamed the game station, run by the Bad Wolf Corporation. Since he closed down Jagrafess's news operation, society on Earth collapsed, and everyone just watches thousands of game shows transmitted from the station. Jack breaks out of his show and leads the Doctor to Rose's game, but too late to save her from being shot by the android. The Doctor determines to find out who is in charge and heads to Floor 500, where programmers run the games under the watch of the controller, a woman physically connected to the systems. She brought the Doctor here and hid him from her masters inside the games, as she knows they fear him. But when she reveals their location, they kill her. Jack works out the contestants are not disintegrated but teleported, which means Rose is alive, but on a Dalek saucer surrounded by thousands of Daleks. The Doctor materializes the TARDIS around her and learns that the Dalek Emperor survived the Time War and has rebuilt his empire using human cells. Knowing they are not true Daleks, the creatures are half mad with self-disgust, but worship the Emperor as a god. Back on the station, the Doctor plans to use the transmitter to send out a delta wave that will destroy the Dalek fleet. To protect Rose, he tricks her into taking the TARDIS home. She refuses to give up on him. However, and when she sees the words Bad Wolf everywhere, she realizes they are a message telling her that she can get back. With the help from Mickey and Jackie, she forces open the TARDIS console to release the vortex, which is channeled into her. The Daleks kill everyone on the station, including Linda and Jack, and reach Floor 500 just as the Doctor completes the Delta Wave. Despite the Emperor's taunting, he cannot bring himself to use it, and it will kill half the humans on Earth too. Rose returns with the power of the vortex in her head, wipes out the entire Dalek fleet, resurrects Jack, and scatters the words Bad Wolf back along her timeline. Before the power kills her too, the Doctor draws it out of her and back into the TARDIS, causing him to regenerate. All right, that was a lovely synopsis from the program guide by Paul Smith. I'm going to start on this one. It is, and I say this every time we get back to Eccleston, it is so, having now watched, 2005, it's now been 17 years of New Who, how different it looks to me. Like how, wow, this is quaint special effects and CGI because it's so much further back, and that Davies the way he did the show was so much different than what we've seen with Moffat and Chibnall and all the other Doctor Who I've been digesting in the last 17 years. To think that I have a nostalgia for New Who. So I enjoy these.
I saw that that Billie Piper is now the age that Camille Cordry was when she was filming Jackie. So that's how far. So the nostalgia is real, right? Like
it's a generation. We're watching something that's is in the last generation.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, and it gets to me, it cements to me something that I say all the time, that every Doctor is someone's first Doctor. That we're watching, the people who are Jodie, who were turned on to Doctor Who now, and Jodie is their Doctor, is their parents, or maybe Eccleston was their Doctor, or Tennant was their Doctor. You know what I mean?
Right, absolutely.
So there's been a generational handoff already. And I kind of like that, and I really do. And folks, you have heard me just complain about how much I think some season finales are a little over the top. I don't think, for my personal artistic taste, they don't need to be spectacular. They just need to be a really good story, ties up all the ends, and finishes an arc for a character and gives them somewhere to go in the future if you haven't killed them.
Right.
To end that chapter in a character's life, and if the actor's staying as the Doctor, it gives them something. It finishes something in their arc and gives them a new journey to go on to. And I think a lot of the time they want to go for the big splashy big ending that it kind of messes up. Well, what do I do with the character next? This one gets to do that because, one, the character, you're getting your first regeneration of Modern Who after 1 year, so it's kind of sped up. The learning curve for new fans, like for you, is different than for some of us. I mean, I watched years and years of Who before I saw my first real regeneration.
Right.
So and it hurt, but I can't imagine when. Oh, wait a minute. You've barely given me anything, and now you're changing Doctors on me.
Yeah, I mean, I got angry.
There are people who are, I see them on Twitter, and they're grieving. They're going through the process of grieving for Jodie.
Yeah.
There is a hardcore Jodie fan base who love her.
Yeah.
And I'm, and they're going to feel this pain. So I think for a lot of new Who fans.
Yeah.
That tuned in for this first season felt what you felt, anger.
Yeah,
it's grief.
There's grief. It's grief, and what it's the great thing about Doctor Who is that you grieve, and you almost, in retrospect, it feels like immediately, but you almost immediately can move on, and that's the great part. Like that, there's more Who. It doesn't mean the end of anything. It's a parting of the ways.
Yes, and the title is perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just like Rose, is missing the Doctor. Like as she's standing there watching something go on, and he's explaining to her that he's going. And he did a perfect job of explaining that he's going and that it's not going to be the same, but it will continue. Is beautiful, and in retrospect, it's beautiful, and they both do it admirably. Oh,
and I think this is So I'm going to think about, because I have such I'm trying to go through this and Matt Smith's first season finale are really my top two. because one, they do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And they don't overdo it. I mean, I'm not saying I don't enjoy the big flashy. I get them. There's moments that I like. There's
there's so much of the Tennant exit that is just long and drawn out.
It's
and it's tough. It's not a good. It's tough. And there were demands from the BBC on Davies that I think were unanticipated. Right, that they had a cash cow suddenly.
Yeah.
And Davies was scrambling to meet the demands, keep the quality up, and so I have real empathy for him on that. But
now he's walking into that same situation, I think.
Yeah.
But he's better prepared for it.
He's prepared for it. Yeah.
He's not the one who's going to have to do the heavy lifting because he's
dedicated the last decade to how would I do it differently,
Yeah.
because that's who he is. Right.
What's that? Any artist should be. Any artist should learn from their last project. Storytelling's a craft. I don't like to say, you know what I mean? It's not a discipline. It's a craft. And I forget who said it. It was Charles Nelson Riley. I watched his one-man show, The Life of Riley. If you're old enough to remember Charles Nelson Riley, you should watch this. It's a beautiful one-man show he did later in his life. He was known as a sitcom actor and a musical. His big thing was musicals. That's what made him famous. He got Tonys for roles in Bye Bye Birdie, and I forget the second one, his first two big Broadways. He went to the Actors Studio with some of the most famous actors of the 60s and 70s. But he talks about how he was in Uta Hagen's. And if you know actors, that's what the university I went taught Uta Hagen's theory. They didn't talk. They taught her version of Meisner, or but I forget what who her mentor was. But all these people, and he said there's something about actors today. When I went, we went to school to hone our craft, and he lists all these people: Steve McQueen, Fritz Weaver, Hal Holbrook, and he goes, these all people were in my Uta Hagen's Tuesday 11 o'clock class. And what I can tell you about them when we're in this class, they couldn't act for shit. Because you have to learn it. And so that's what I see with Davies as a creator, is he's not just producing stuff. He's also honing his craft.
Yeah. Because
everything he does is he's I think the way he encapsulates it is one season 6. When he's doing some of his dramas, it's only one season. I have 10 episodes. I'm going to tell a story that is finely crafted. I think now he's feeling the need to stretch his legs again. I want to do something bigger. I'm hoping. That's just me reading into it. Is I saw him. There's a little clip of him on the street while they were filming 2 weeks ago. Some of the stuff with Tennant and Tate and all the Temple Noble family was all there, including the new member, Rose Temple Noble. And him, he's just beaming. He's a big giant man. I forget that he is. Yeah. He is a huge man, and I don't mean fat. I mean he's taller than me.
Is he?
Yeah, he's a big dude. He's like 6. He may be my height.
I was gonna say you're pretty tall.
Well, I'm shrinking as we speak. But so I think this one was, and you see with Eccleston and Billy Piper is just, there's a subtlety to their acting, and I don't mean that it's quite. Christopher Eccleston's a different kind of actor than Tennant or Smith or even or Whitaker. He doesn't downplay, but it's just he's in the moment. He's taking what he's given and he reacts. When he needs to be bigger and jollier, he is. But you can tell the difference between when it's the doctor is happy and the doctor is covering his post-traumatic stress disorder. You know what I mean? And there's a subtle shift. And this one, that goodbye scene, I forgot how good it was. Yeah. I mean, I was like, wow, that is a wonderful performance.
It really is. Yeah, throughout the whole, particularly once he gets into the wires and the assembly bit. He's got something to do with his hands. He's got like sort of revelatory moments, and he's having various goodbye conversations, and it's beautiful. The whole performance it's Eccleston at his best in Doctor Who. It was like he'd finally hit his stride, right?
Yeah, imagine what a second season would have been like.
Yeah. But this gave us, and again, I don't know, because there's all of this conjecture about one of them was going to leave, Rose or Eccleston, right? Like Piper or Eccleston, one of them was going to leave, is the suggestion. And so we were saying goodbye to somebody, and then it turned out to be Eccleston, and then, but it's all conjecture. The story that we get is the full season arc that encapsulates everything that Doctor Who is.
Yeah.
Right? It teaches the new audience what to expect and how to watch this show and what's going to happen. And it's fantastic.
Yeah. I like his scenes whenever he is talking to the conversation when he says no. And the Dalek goes, "What do you mean?" Mm-hmm. No. And then when he's talking to, for performances, I also want to shout out to Nick Briggs in this, because he is great. He is to me the best Dalek voice.
Yeah.
I mean, and I like the old guys. I do. Roy Shelton and all them. They're fine. But there's something about this that he's actually sitting there, right, too, on set. He's just off camera doing it. That scene, I love the scene between the no when he's saying, "I'm going to come save you, Rose Tyler."
Right.
But I also like it when he's talking to the Dalek Emperor. That I can tell that Chris Eccleston is actually he is responding to Nick Briggs. He knows they are acting against each other. They
against
are
each other, right.
Because that's what kind of I think finally convinced Eccleston that Eccleston had done a con finally, and he would like Eskimos. Oh wow, these people really. This is a genuine affection. It's not creepy. You know, they really are happy with my work, and they just want to share it with me, and it's warm and inviting. It's what happened with Carolyn Johns. They finally got her to go to a convention, and she saw that it was just this warm hug of appreciation. Right. And I think that Eccleston and Briggs and him are friends. Yeah. You know, or professional friends, and went, hey, and Nick was like, come on, do one. I'll write it and I'll direct it. And he did. The whole first box set is Nick Briggs writing and directing. I will say this, that that's not my favorite of the sets because they play very safe. But I think it's kind of this, and I feel as someone who been on stage with another actor and likes watching actors. I love a scene when the actors are just riffing on each other. You can see it. Branagh and Ian Holmes at the end of Henry V, when they, there's a very sweet, that speech could be something, that dialogue in the end of that scene could be something, but it's something of affection between two soldiers. The subtext is there, and I feel that with that scene. That got me yesterday when I was watching. I was like, I forgot how much, when he starts to go, crap, not only is the Dalek Emperor alive, but he's lost his mind, and he thinks he's God. And you can kind of see Eccleston's doctor just kind of lean back, think about it, and go, okay, this is worse than I thought.
I love the moment where the Dalek Emperor is challenging him and saying, oh yeah, you're going to wipe out the whole world, show how brave you are, right? Like, he's taunting, and the doctor has a moment of realization that, being a hero is easy, right? Being a hero in this situation would just be the flick of a switch, and it would all go away. The bad guys and the good guys, right? and that would be the easy path. And he stops, and he has a beautiful resignation on his face, and it's just he's great. He's just great. And then he moves into that. Well, he banishes Rose in a painful moment, and then gives Piper the opportunity to go into this incredibly still world, right?
Yeah, there's a huge difference between the two settings when she goes back to normalcy.
She goes back to normalcy, and it's just, and there's no, and she's like, 200,000 years, it's happening. Right?
Yeah, that's a great moment. I want to say there are two actors now in this story that are problematic, but they both, and I'm going to say this more for Mickey, is the scenes with Mickey, Jackie, and Rose are really important to modern Who, in how, because we didn't have this in old Who. There was, this is what Davies, by adding the family, is showing you.
Yeah.
Like when they're going, she goes, "What do I do? Just work, eat, go get pizza," and they go, "Yeah." Mm-hmm. And they're not saying it because, oh, you think you're better. It's like, yes, just do that. It's what we do. You'll be here with us.
Right.
There's a subtext to that line. It's not, just come back, which, which the American would be this huge dramatic argument about what do you want, screaming. But it's just, yes, it's safer. You're safe, please. We want you here. It would be safer. And she goes, and I can't. It's too late for that. The sense of duty she has to not only the doctor, but that she feels for the entire human race and the universe. And no, we have to do more. We have to fight.
Right. Well, she says in there that, she expresses that what's important about the doctor is that he makes a stand, right? Yes. That the doctor stands up against evil. Whether he wins or not is immaterial.
It's the standing up
to it. It's the facing off against, right? And giving evil something, that an obstacle, a hurdle to get over. And that's what's important. And that's the through line of Rose's journey. It's not that she's perfect. It's not that she's right. It's not that she's loyal to a fault. In fact, she's more loyal to the doctor than she is to doing the right thing, right? Which is, we get different with somebody like Bill, who looks at him as like, what, right? And Clara has moments of like, what are you doing? Right?
Yeah. Like, and Martha gets to the point to where, I stood up against evil with you, but now I have to stand up for my family because they went through hell because of you.
Right. So I have to choose where I'm going to choose what evil I fight. And right now I want to be a doctor, and I want to take care of. I'm a doctor. Right.
I'm a real doctor.
Yeah.
And I need to take care of my family. I need to help heal my
family.
Heal.
Yes.
So, and that's the genius of Davies and Moffat in how each companion has a different through line.
Well, but you're supposed to, right?
Yeah.
Because people are different. But Davies forming Rose like this, rather than being the person to ask the questions or receive the explanations, right? Mm-hmm. Her role as our eyes is to see what it is the doctor's all about.
Yeah.
And what the doctor is all about is making a stand.
Yeah.
Right? Is to stand up against it. And what I have taught my kid is, the phrase I use is show up. You show up for people. Mm-hmm. She was like 9 years old, and we showed up for you to help you move one weekend. Mm-hmm. And she was like, on the way down, she was like, why are we doing this? I was like, this is what you do.
It's why
you show up. Mm-hmm. You show up for people when they need you. And so, we have a truck, and so that's part of the thing. If you're going to have a truck, you're going to show up for people when they need to move. If you don't have a truck, if you don't have a car, you show up in other ways, right?
Yeah.
But it's always, you show up and you take a stand, even if you're going to lose, even if it's not the winning argument, you stand up against it and let them see that we're not all going to be, that the whole world isn't going to be crushed under their greed, you know.
Yeah. What I like about this one too, because of that, what you're saying, piggyback on what you're saying is that these two parties starts with the Doctor waking up in the Big Brother, and I do want to talk about the reality TV part of it.
Right.
But it's also when he's remembering what happened is they're laughing off an adventure.
Yeah.
There's a thing that Davies likes, and he does it more with Tennant.
Mm-hmm.
Is there is something about the Doctor that's a little odd, is that you find you're going into these horrible, dangerous situations, getting other people to stand up with you, to fight evil, but for you it's a giggle.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
it's his coping mechanism.
It's his coping, yeah. And he, that's what I'm getting at. He's shown you real people. Mm-hmm. Like Rose isn't a great person all the time. She's a human being. She ditches Mickey in a pretty harsh, it's kind of heartless, and they have it, and he shows you Mickey going, that you're leaving me had an effect. Mm-hmm. I understand why you did it, but it had an effect. Mm-hmm. So you see her grow from that. You see her grow with the Doctor. You know, she grows even more with Tennant's Doctor. She becomes there's a through line in Modern Who that the companion becomes a mini Doctor. And all three producers have done it with their characters. Whether it be subtle or like with it is with Rose and Martha. I mean, Donna says it, is this what you do to people? You turn them into soldiers?
Soldiers, yeah.
Yes. So you see it. Yas becomes, it's like a British cop show. The Doctor's the chief inspector, and then there's the deputy,
the detective sergeant,
yeah. So you've got that kind of duet, So I think it really in this one, because Tennant's performance is a little more big. I'm not gonna say showy. He's just a flashier Doctor. He's a little cockier. That regeneration is dealing with the same trauma, and he's dealing with it differently. Mm-hmm. And the trauma is getting older, is further back in his memory. But and I just like that the fact that we're seeing in these characters them making these decisions. Yeah. It's not just. There's a lot of old Who, which is it's about the plot, not the character.
Right, exactly. This is the character-driven one. This is the companion-driven one. But you mentioned something. I had a revelatory moment because I was enjoying Captain Jack. Because you know what? Captain Jack is very much like the Dungeons and Dragons characters I play.
Yeah, the character Captain Jack. Yeah.
Yeah, he runs into battle.
Yeah.
He's fine with it. He has signed up for it. And he's okay with the fact that, the Dalek is going to look at him someday and say, exterminate, right? He's made his peace with that. But, so I was having fun with it, and then it was like, ugh, right, and the ugh with the John Barrowman allegations, and the ugh with the Mickey allegations. And here's my revelation. When you get power, whether it's by becoming an MP or member of Congress, right? Mm-hmm. If you get power by becoming Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk, right? Like if you get power by, if you achieve your dreams, if you become a manager, you're going to have choices about how to handle yourself. And I think that what we're seeing is performances wherein these people, are at the big. Barrowman's not at the beginning of his career. Mickey definitely is, but these are their performances that lead to them becoming powerful. And it's what they do once they reach the pinnacle of power that tells us who they are as a person.
Yeah.
So I think we can enjoy, right? It's to me, it's a lot like Roman Polanski, right? We can enjoy Roman Polanski's work prior to, discovering that he's a horrible person.
And
right?
I see the characters. I'm looking. The character of Mickey's a very good character. The character of Cat and Jack's a very good character.
Yeah.
And they're fleshed out by these two men that are incredibly flawed and make horrible, selfish, destructive to other people decisions. Not destructive. Right. I don't care that they destroyed their own career, because
I don't either. Right.
Yeah, but they did harm, and and they acted unprofessionally and
selfishly. Right.
Selfishly.
Yeah.
They acted selfishly. They thought because I'm a star, I can get away with anything, and it's not.
Right.
That should never be when you're the good leaders are not thinking about, I've got what I want. It's like, how do I continue to do what I do?
Right. Right.
And, so I get what you're saying. Yeah, because because there are horrible people in every profession. You don't cancel your plumber.
Right.
But these are people that.
But you should.
Yeah, you would. If I found out the guy working my house was a Nazi, I'd be, get the fuck out of my house.
Exactly.
But that's it. But I'm not going to look at. I can't. I'm not going to let. But I think I know what you're saying is I didn't know this, but these are still good performances. I'm not
watching Barrowman now.
I'm not going to watch anything new he does. He's not gonna, I'm not going to watch no Clarkson. I'm not getting any work for a while if he gets any at all.
Right.
I mean his he was almost at the pinnacle, and he got and he burned his house down.
Yeah.
So, but I'm not gonna. It's like Polanski. Polanski's work, but I wouldn't.
I don't watch his work. Yeah, I've never seen The Piano, right? I've never seen. Once he fled this country, he is a criminal under extradition that charges, and they won't extradite him because he's a powerful person, right? That makes you a terrible person, right?
That you're not even going to go. I'll go stand up and might have my day. I will go. Yeah. Face the music of what I've been accused of, and if he had a really, he knows that he's going to get convicted. Well,
yeah, there's no defense to statutory rape.
Yeah, he's going to. No, well, see,
there's no
defense. He thinks there is, but he thinks, well, I didn't do anything wrong. It's like, if you didn't do anything wrong and you didn't, you did do something wrong, and you know that they can prove it, so you're hiding.
There's no defense to statutory rape. I know. He had sex with her.
I know, but I'm saying what he thinks.
He even knew how old she was.
I know, but I mean.
So there's actually, first of all, there is no defense. You cannot stand up in court and say, "I thought she was 18."
Oh, I know.
You're not allowed to do that, right? Because lack of proof, right? It sets up what they believe is a cushion, right? Yeah. That if you think she's 18, you need to pause and say, what if she's not 18? Right? So she needs to be 21, or he needs to be 21 or 22.
Yeah, no, I know.
Right? You need to think he's that old, right? Because they want that cushion there. So there's just no defense. You're not allowed to put one on.
Yeah. And where's he hiding? Italy?
France.
That just sickens me.
It does.
And that's on them.
He's a disgusting person. He's a disgusting person, and people continue to work with him. And that always and defend that he still works. When he's hiding from our justice system for doing that.
Yeah.
Right. And so people like Sigourney Weaver will go and work with him, and I'm like,
when did she work with him?
She defended him at one point.
Oh my God.
I don't know. I don't watch any of his movies.
Yeah, I haven't watched it. I can't even remember
like Rosemary's Baby, and It's Over, right?
Yeah.
That's it.
I can't remember the last movie he made. So, yeah.
I don't watch them.
Yeah.
But that's my logic that I'm going to apply in these sort of circumstances. I'm sure that during this end of this season, Noel Clarke may have been engaging in that behavior. And that's a shame, right? That's a shame. And like you said, he hurt people, and he revealed his character, right? And so from the time that I find out going forward, I'm not going to engage, and I'm not going to, but in this circumstance, I'm watching a character that Russell T. Davies created.
Yes. See, they don't own the character.
Captain Jack, right? In Captain Jack, and he happened to find, I think, the perfect embodiment of Captain Jack.
Oh no,
right?
It's written for him, I think too.
I think so.
I think
but
Moffat was going, this is the character, this is the actor playing him.
Yeah.
Now write the script.
Right.
And that's Davies being, I need this kind of smarmy, somewhat creepy guy.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't want to create it. Let Steven do it.
Well, but this is the guy who knows that someday a Dalek is going to fire and look at him and say exterminate, is going to make a play for everybody. He's trisexual, right? Yeah. He's going to try it on anybody because at any moment, right? He's kind of a classic D&D character, right?
Oh yeah,
he's an adventurer.
He's a cartoon action figure, you know, very much so. And I get what you're saying. And here's the thing: is as someone who is, the actor is not the character. The actor doesn't own the characters they've played. Right. You know what I mean? We fixate on it. Oh, only that person can play it. That's not the way it worked until this century, until the 20th century. We need to not assume it. It's like when recasting characters for Doctor Who in the audio. Would I want to see someone else play Susan in TV? I'd be a little, why? Why are you doing it?
Why?
Why are you doing it? But in an audio or, you know, it's people go, why did they remake stories? Because that's what you do. You tell stories in every generation or so and alter them. It's why we're still performing Shakespeare and you know, it's because the essence of the story can be reinterpreted. And I think you can do it with, like, I love Big Finish. They just casted a new Doctor. Me and Jeff just talked about it. Steve Noonan's amazing. It's, you know, but is it William Hartnell? No. But I'm not listening to it. I'm not going into it. I'm going in it to hear a First Doctor story. I want more of that character, you know. So I just, and I know that's what I feel when I see these, because if we're going to think we're going to have totally no problematic actors in the things we watch, you know, it's not going to happen.
No, it's not going to happen because people are problematic.
Yeah.
But to talk about the reality TV.
Everyone who's listened to this podcast probably have heard me say how much I fucking hate it. I hate 90% of it. I do not have a problem with the talent shows. I actually watched the one, Is It Cake, on Netflix. It's absolutely silly and frivolous and fun, but it's a competition and the people all like each other and they're having a good time.
Yeah, I mean, there's some. I've never been able to stand the American Idol ones.
Yeah, there's certain ones. I mean, but I get those. I don't find them as offensive. I just don't. I'm not entertained by.
Well, no. What I find offensive is when they mock people, like where we have the whole William Hung sort of thing. They mock people.
Well,
they
actually,
embarrass
there's been
people.
a change in some of them. People have realized that they were hearing the feedback about the mocking, and they've tried to. Like Simon Cowell, I've seen him go well, and I've seen him get called out on camera. You know, watching, seeing clips, but like.
Well, that's the era that we're talking about.
Yeah, that's what this is. But this is. I like that they bring up the Dutch thing. That Big Brother's a Dutch show, because I swear to God, I think in the reason Michael Caine's character in this Austin Powers thing doesn't like the Dutch is because of that. I think that's Mike Myers making fun of reality TV because, but they're showing you the thing about it. These people, everybody on them, it's that, in Big Brother you die. What's the woman who was the host of Weakest Link?
Yeah.
She's a terror. I remember that show being on and going, God, what a horrible human being. Why are you watching this, people? She's just terrible to people. And I'm reading in about time that he goes, they say, he says he likes these shows, but he shows them in the worst possible light.
Right.
And I think that's a point, because I think it's like the Doctor, Rose, and Captain Jack have been teleported into the Colosseum in Rome. That's what reality TV show is to me. It is the modern Colosseum.
Right.
You're watching people be humiliated
Mm-hmm.
in public for our entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
It's disgusting. It is so the next day you can talk shit about someone you don't know making bad life choices that you're not having to make and getting a giggle out of it. And it's wrong.
It is.
It's disgusting. And it is, if my father heard me make gossip like that or giggle at someone else's pain, I'd have got popped right upside the back of my head. He would have smacked the back of my head and goes, "You're going to go apologize right now." Because it's bad. It's bad. And and I think it's the perfect. I think if the Daleks are going to create, use, and these are people that are, the Doctor has done something 100 years earlier, and as he goes, I created this world.
Right.
And it just really, it hit a note with me that I went, okay, this is great. That's one reason I kind of like these, because they kind of do it, and they're trying to be funny, but it is always very, very dark. And some of the shows I don't know, and they listed all the shows. There are a couple shows that I'd forgotten when I read that. Oh, that's in there, yeah.
Stars in Their Eyes and Countdown. Yeah.
Well, I watch 8 out of 10 Cats does Countdown. It's just a game show. I mean, the real one's just it's their version of Jeopardy.
Yeah, Jeopardy, right.
It's
Right. But a bomb goes off in this alternate reality version. No, I think it's a good skewering of popular entertainment at the time. I think he does a good job, and it's Ann Robinson who was on Weakest Link, and honestly, that needed a send up. All of it did. And if it started with the concept of an android, right, being tossed around in the writer's room, is a great way to do it. And I think they really do. They skewer it, and it deserves to be skewered. Though it's a good setup, and it's a good way of sort of getting us just pay no attention to what the right hand is doing, right?
Yeah, and it's something that in good Doctor Who, like Robert Holmes stories, is some Andrew Cartmiller with like Paradise Towers and Greatest Show in the Galaxies, where you're showing what is silly or not or trivial or whatever, but it's really dark.
Really skewering pop culture, right? Yeah. Making a societal commentary.
Well, he said that, it says in there that he had said that these reality shows are the modern drama.
Right. No, I think it's well affected, and they do a good job. The thing that I get to in this one always, because I'm right along for the ride, up and through the goodbye scene and everything. But Bad Wolf has never made any sense to me. And it doesn't, because it's Deus Ex Machina, right?
Oh, yeah.
It is it's a snake eating its tail. It exists because I need to do this.
Well, it's also a thing. It is both that and the thing of time travel. I like time travel fiction. It is a staple of it is the beginning is the end, and the end is the beginning.
Right.
That is the way time travel. It's the grandfather or the butterfly. You know what I mean? It's that thing. It's like Bad Wolf exists because she travels back into she sees the name. It's that thing about, and you can't explain it because it goes, but if that happened, no, because it's, and that's why they're different time travel. Everybody has their own time travel rules. Right. They want to work themselves out of this, because what you're talking about is true. It doesn't make any sense. How could she have created what she discovers that she needs to save the day?
Right.
Is to become Bad Wolf.
Right.
It doesn't. And I think because he is again, he's following the Buffy model of a big bad,
right.
a through line, and it's just
and
he
That's
uses
it
it
is,
just
right.
as a through line. It's Torchwood. It's just Doctor Who, an anagram for Doctor Who. That was what they put on all documents and canisters, so people, that word, and then he created the Torchwood. That's where Torchwood, the name Torchwood comes, because that's what they were labeling the video cassettes of. So people didn't know that they were, what was in someone's hand and being taken to someone was a Doctor Who episode to be screened.
Mm.
So it's just, okay, so Bad Wolf. Oh, okay. And I think it says in there it was
two
like
words that would not randomly occur together.
Yeah, and it doesn't even, you don't even see it until what, the 4th episode?
Yeah.
Yeah, that, So
Well, it's the
it shows
Gwyneth.
up on,
Gwyneth says it. Gwyneth, the
oh,
girl.
that's the third episode.
The third episode.
Yeah,
Unquiet
the Big Bad
Dead.
Wolf. Yeah.
But yeah, there is a Little Red Riding Hood interpretation of Rose. Right, a little girl going off on an adventure.
Yeah.
Right, and so it makes some sense, but you know what? It doesn't. But Bad Wolf itself, this Aurorabus, right? It exists because she created it, because she needed it to exist. So, right, like, doesn't have to make sense because it's Doctor Who, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing where I can barely really enjoy other science fiction, because they want me to understand what a beryllium crystal is or whatever. I mean, honestly, my two favorite things that exist in science fiction are Doctor Who and Galaxy Quest, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because in Galaxy Quest, they look at the inner workings of the spaceship and they say, what are these big chompy things? Right?
Yes, I know. I do. I'm not.
What are they there for? I don't know. They were on the show, and so they recreated it. And like, it's just that's the only thing that I really enjoy is the send up of the ridiculousness of it. Why are there these big bitey chompy things in the middle of the ship? It's just.
Oh yeah.
So I fully enjoy the ones where I have permission for it to not make sense.
Well, and that's what I think, and I talked about this, is in American TV, we want to explain our science fiction. I don't like if I'm reading science fiction, like if I read Asimov's Foundation, there's none of that. You don't care how the ships work. They just say they fold time, which is a scientific theory about how you would travel light years, you would have to bend space-time and move from one spot to another, which is a genuine physical theory in physics.
Right.
And that's it.
And
but it's
what
all
I love Octavia Butler
mm-hmm.
to read because her spaceships are organic.
Which
right?
would be, it's another staple.
And that's, well, but that's, again, they evolved, right? It's all over. Right, conversation ends.
Yeah,
right? Because they evolved that way.
Yeah, but you're not having the things about I'm going to adjust the fields of the frequency of blah 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 blah. Shut the fuck up! I hate it.
Reverse the polarity, right? Reverse the polarity.
Yeah, it's all gibberish.
Yeah, it's just gibberish. And now, what makes Doctor Who fun are those scenes like this one in here with Eccleston pulling wires out and like trying to sonic stuff together and twisting things and he's just playing with the box of parts like they handed Jodie in her audition. Mm-hmm. Jodie had a box of, and I think it was a video call, pre-Zoom, pre-pandemic. I think she said it was in a video call, and she just had a box of junk, and she was doing
business.
Yeah.
Business. And that's why they call it business, because it doesn't have a purpose. It's you're doing business to keep the audience occupied in your task while you're telling them the story.
Right. And like I said, Christopher Eccleston gets elevated in that moment. And I can imagine in Jodie's audition that she did too.
Yeah.
And that's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Right.
Because,
that's what you're looking
and
for.
that's why, and one thing that Doctor Who surpasses all other of the science fiction that I like is because they're not explaining how things work. I don't like people when they go, but it didn't work that way. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It really, in Star Trek, it is, and I love this. I listened to a podcast called Untitled Star Trek with Nathan Bottomley and Joe Ford. And I like Nathan because it's just an episode about space things, and they're doing space things. And they're talking about space things.
Right.
And sometimes it's entertaining because you're watching what the people are doing, and other times it's not because it's just all you're watching is people do space things. Mm-hmm. And I like that. And there are shows that I think, Doctor Who gets passed by. It doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they do stories about space things, but not as often.
Right.
I love Battlestar Galactica. Ships just work. It's all based, all the tech is, you could see it as, okay, it's just an aircraft carrier in space and blah, blah, blah. But this is about religion and who's the terrorist, who's not the terrorist, who's the hero, not the hero.
Right.
Oh, no one. You're all shitty. And which is, it's a play of, it's a play about what's happening between the characters. It just happens on a big spaceship, and but yeah, exactly. It's and I mean, I think that's with me. With like, I have a harder time with fantasy because the magic. Yeah, that's where I disconnect, is because I don't believe in magic is, it's harder for me to get through the, but the good stuff is what, like,
magic is pre-science.
Yeah. And
magic is pre-science explanation of things, right? And that's see, I love fantasy because again, it's just suspension of disbelief.
Yeah.
It's just like in the D&D lore, right? It's there are different ways to have access to magic, right? You can be born with it. You can it can be innate. Or it's something that years and years and years of industrious study can get you. Or you can sell your soul.
Yeah. Well,
right?
I think maybe that's why I like comic books, because it is the ultimate mix of all of these things.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, because there's magic, Doctor Strange, there's science, Tony Stark.
Yeah, right, but the science of Superman being able to fly is red sun, yellow sun. It's magic.
Yeah, it's magic, the radiation gives me myself. Yeah. It's like John Byrne when he took over after they rebooted after Crisis, is he's not really super strong. When Superman picks up something that's super heavy, you go, well, the building would collapse, because if you put all the weight of a 3-story building on the palms of two person's hands, you would just have a pile of rubble, and everybody in the building would be dead. And he's like, no, it's the radiation allows him anti-gravity, so whatever he touches is now lighter than air. It's like, come on, man, you're just reaching for stuff.
But listen, this is how it gets into real life. I just gotten into honeybees, and one of the ways in which I'm frugal and environmentally, thoughtful, at least I try to be, is to reuse things. And so I try and go out and find used gear. And in researching and studying about honeybees, one of the diseases that can kill them is it can be stored in the gear, right, and in the wooden boxes and stuff. So they warn you against using materials from an unknown source, right? If you just go on the internet and say, I'll buy your hives, you don't know if they're infected, right? And so what they said is you have to take that gear. If you're going to do it, you have to take that gear to a gamma radiation chamber. And I was like, friend of mine's a microbiologist, and he's the organic chemistry is easy guy, right? The thing that was the death knell for all of my friends who wanted to be doctors, they couldn't pass organic chem, right? And I've got one friend who's like, but it's easy. So I called him and I was like, I didn't know I was going to have to be the Hulk, and he's like, no, gamma radiation exists. He starts to explain it to me. And I'm like, I'm making a joke, right? But gamma radiation is so strong that it will penetrate the wood and kill. It's the only thing. Your state has to have a gamma, I believe it's an irradiation chamber, and to eradicate the disease. But that was, so it's this science meets comic books meets my mind, and I'm like, wait a second, I'm buying new. I'm just going to buy new. Also, apparently my state doesn't have one, but I'm just buying new. So it was, science does exist,
Yeah.
but it gets into my mind via comic books. Anyway, yeah, I just, is what I enjoy this one because, and I enjoy this season because Davies didn't know if he was going to get another shot at it. And as far as anybody is concerned, anyone on the planet, there is no one on the planet, let me put it that way, who loves Doctor Who more than Russell T Davies.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And he's proved that time and time and time again. And the About Time references his attempt to bring it back in a low budget version 5 years earlier, right?
Yeah.
That he really wanted to have, he really wanted to bring it back because his love for the show was so great. And what he does here in this one is structures a Firefly season, right? How good do I have to make this? If I have one shot at this, I've got 13 episodes. How good can I make it? And what are the elements that are necessary? And he gives it to us. He gives it to us. And he succeeds in the way that Firefly succeeds, right? He completely succeeds in telling a complete story and having us cheer for the characters and care, right? But also explain in it, and this is what Firefly doesn't have to do, explain this, 50-year-old character at the same time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I agree with you on that. This is, I would say, this season 5 for me. Season 4. I mean, there's seasons that as a whole really, really work.
Yeah, I gotta say, this is not my favorite season.
Oh no, it's not mine. I just think as a whole it is well. But yeah, there's no the low points aren't that low.
Well, it's not even. I'm just gonna say it's not even, I think, what he would have wanted to do. Right? It's like being handed a canvas and saying you've got one shot, and you need to do a landscape. Now, your love is portraits, right?
Yeah.
But you're asked to do a landscape, and you effectuate the best landscape, right? Like, that's what he's done here. He's been careful. There are moments of conservatism. There are moments where he says we can't be too conservative. There are moments where there are beats that have to be hit, right? That's those first 3, right? It's those first 3 where they go to an alien, they go through all the aliens that walk through the tree people and the
Moxabahun.
Yeah, and they go back in history and they meet Charles Dickens, right? Like those beats are all hit, and yet the through line is the Doctor stands up, and he's going to stand up against the bad guy every time. It's not always going to be pretty. It's not always going to turn out exactly the way he wants, but there's an element of luck involved that if you stand up, it might go your way. Yeah. And if you don't stand up, it'll never go your way, right?
I like in how he frames it in that the Doctor we're seeing has just come from a war where it's damaged him. Yeah. And he's now in another final battle with these same adversaries.
Yeah.
And he's going to make a different choice.
Yep.
I'm not. Yep. I'm going to just let you kill me because I'm not going to, I'm not going to do it again.
Right.
I'm not. And I've learned.
Maybe there'll be somebody else out there who stands up against you and stops you. I'm not going to be so conceited as to think that I'm the only person who can stop you. We've chosen this path before, and it clearly didn't work, because I've got 200 spaceships out there with $2,000 apiece.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah.
I thought I'd erased you once. Yeah. No. But he succeeds. Davies succeeds. Yeah. And that's what we all needed. Even though some of us didn't know we needed it. Yeah. You did.
Yeah. Well, I know. I was watching it going, okay. I mean, because I think he made all the right choices. He came in, it's 2005, I'm going to make Doctor. It's like people go, fans of the old show, don't always embrace the new show. I mean, they watch it and they enjoy it, but it's not. It never really hits the sweet spot that they had when they were a kid, like Jeff.
That's fine, right?
Yeah, and that's fine. But you can't make 1980s or 1970s or 1960s Doctor Who. It wouldn't work.
It wouldn't sell, right? And
it wouldn't sell, and it's and it's your audience is more savvy. You're fighting for a smaller piece of the pie. Mm-hmm. Because the people go, well, the ratings are different. Well, but stop thinking in 1960s and 70s terms. That era has been dead for 20 years.
Right.
It's, we're making more product for more diverse, to different subsets. Mm-hmm. So like it or don't like it, watch or don't watch. It's,
right.
But, he is, and I think he tweaked it as he went along.
Mm-hmm.
I think he almost killed himself, the amount of work. And I think he's going to come into this going, I've got more support, and he's a little younger than me.
Mm-hmm.
So, I can't kill myself.
He's also 6'6".
6'6", yeah, okay.
So he is a little bit taller than you.
Yeah, I was 6'4", I'm now 6'3" and shrinking.
Mm-hmm.
As my wife likes to point out. I got new sneakers, and she, you grew. Oh no, it's just the new sneakers. So, I also wanted to give a shout out to the wonderful. I love a story where we are introduced to a could-be companion.
Yeah.
And with Linda with a Y, and I really do love her in this. And then I went, what else have I seen her in?
Yeah.
And in the TARDIS wiki,
Shakespeare and Hathaway, yeah.
Also, I did. She was in a Cush Jumbo, thing that was on. I watched it on Netflix. Hold on. With the Irish actor who was in Jekyll, and he also played one of the dwarves. She's amazing. Her name's Jo Joyner. She is amazing, and she's so good in this. I love her.
She's great in it.
Yeah, and I like that. That's a modern Who thing and Moffat does it in God Complex. Mm-hmm. He didn't write it, but he had that. There's a companion. Could be companion. They tend to die.
Mm-hmm.
Davies has you get one where he picks the wrong one with Adam.
Yeah.
In this season, what happens when you pick the wrong person?
Right.
So, I love her. I like that this has a good cast. I mean, it's got it's just really well done. There's also, hold on a second, I want to make sure I make this shout out because come on, man.
I'll just say I love the choice of Shooty, but Cush Jumbo was my pick.
I know.
So wonderful.
Also, where is it? Oh, maybe I'm wrong. I thought someone else was in here who was in Old Who, but I've got the name wrong. So I'm incorrect. Let me just. Yeah, I was wrong. It wasn't what I thought it was. So. All right. Well, folks, that's it. We've gotten through. Yay! We've completed another Doctor's Television life. We will be jumping into the Big Finish audios next time around.
Yeah.
Which I have listened to the first 3 sets. I'm on the 4th set right now. Well, I paused because there's a set where it's an Unbound story where Tom Baker's Doctor, 4th Doctor, decides to blow up the Daleks, and it causes the Time War to start a different way, and he is regenerated into Colin Baker's Doctor, while Six and Perry
Baker to Baker, right?
Yeah, and then but the original Six is still in there, but he's running from the wave of the time changing. So I'm only in the first episode. I'm enjoying it, but I've been jumping around.
Okay.
But what is our next?
Fear Her.
We're only to fear her?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And that's, I think it's in the way that the double stories occurred.
Yeah.
Because we've done both double stories in 10th Doctor already, because we've done Rise of the Cybermen and we've done Impossible Planet, right?
And we get
And with Ninth Doctor, the double stories are Aliens of London, World War III, and then we just did, it was like Empty Child, Doctor Day. I don't know exactly.
Yeah. Oh, no. Oh, because we had the Christmas special.
That's right.
Christmas Invasion was technically the 14th episode of this season.
Yeah.
But because Tennant's got 14 stories in his
first season. Right.
His first run.
So we are.
So we got Fear Her.
No. Because we just did Love and
Love and Monsters.
So it's Fear Her, and then it's Army of Ghosts Doomsday. So we're only one off, and it's because of Christmas Invasion.
So, but Fear Her, we'll have some conversations about Fear Her.
I think it'll play.
I don't hate Fear Her as much as
I think it'll play different now. That's my prediction.
There's a lot going on in the world, and
there's a lot going on in the world, and children in abusive situations, and our understanding of PTSD, and speaking of magic, so our I think it plays differently, because I rewatched it with my kid a couple years ago, and it was like, oh yeah, wow, this is deeper than I thought it was. Right.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a good one. And but yeah, so we've only got, but then we get to the whole Donna season, and it's going to turn out perfectly. Our timing on that is going to turn out perfectly, I think.
With the Donna, no.
That's right.
When we get to Martha, we have to do a whole season of Martha.
No, but we get Runaway Bride.
Oh yeah, I do love Runaway Bride.
And I think that's what. And all of this, like, how are we going to do this? Like, we've got 10 and Donna coming back, and like.
I think it's going to be very timey-wimey, complicated.
But just like Runaway Bride, we thought we were getting a new companion.
Yeah. I want to find out what the rumors are. I think Rachel Talali is an evil woman because she keeps teasing us with great images. And trying to, she's just stirring the pot, that she can't, she's probably staying with Matt Lucas or something because they're buddies. That they're just sitting at home. How can we fuck with people? And Matt's like, ooh, let's.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling once the centenary, we're going to find out we have more. There's going to be more than one episode for the 6 years.
We'll see.
I think there's more to it. He's got a little more John Nathan Turner than the other two modern Who producers. He understands that shit's gonna leak. Just let it leak. I would like for that. I hope. I'm gonna guess that it's the regeneration goes wrong, and they, and blah blah blah, and whatever. That just a way to get Tennant back on the screen and to celebrate the history of the show. I mean, I don't think it's just I've been bashing. I just recorded the last episode that went up was me and Mark McManus from Trap One talking about a Doctor Who comic, and I was complaining that for the Jodie comic they kept putting Tennant in it. It really pissed me off. It's like Titan. If you don't think they're going to sell, cancel the line. If you don't think it's going to sell, cancel the fucking line. I mean, really, it just bothers me. And I like what Titan's doing. They're just doing series of one shots and 5-issue minis. Let's not run 3 running series. I'm not going to have a series for each Doctor. We're just going to do about 6 to 10 comics a year. It sells pretty well because it just goes. And this year is famous American comic writer Don Slott, who's done Spider-Man. He's writing FF now. He's going to write one of different Doctors, and there's going to be a Fugitive Doctor miniseries, which is fun because the free comic day for them this year was a Fugitive Doctor comic, which was it was a neat little story. So, but I think they're bringing Tennant back in to kind of cushion and just to give him time to get ready, write scripts for Judy.
Yeah, I mean, listen, but coming up, we've got Fear Her, and then we've got Pandorica Opens Big Bang, which has my second favorite line in Doctor Who, right? My first favorite is Just This Once. everybody lives. And my second favorite line is River saying, say mercy.
Yeah. I like her line in this. I hate it when it's a wizard because there's always him.
And then we are in the forest of the night. And the dark water, death in heaven, that whole, it's just problem. It's just, it doesn't work as well. It's one of the weak.
I think that is that first season of Capaldi for me is just not. It's the weakest season. It's a modern Who to me, and I love Capaldi's Doctor. I don't have a problem with him, and I don't have a problem with Calera. I just think that it's the consistency in Moffat's the work is just it's so inconsistent. And I think it's him trying to play fast and loose with plotting and not paying attention. I will put it all on him. Because the next two seasons are so much better.
Yeah. But listen, we get to go back to the beginning again and do Dalek Invasion of Earth.
Which is going to be amazing.
It is. It's going to be amazing. And I get to really get into it this time. Whereas I don't think I knew what I was doing the first time I got through it.
You were just barreling through, too.
Well, but I was barreling through, but it was the first season of going back and watching old Who, right? So literally, I saw what exists from that before I ever saw a full Tom Baker, right? Like, I didn't know the difference between Big Finish and BBC audios, right? Like, I didn't know. So anyway, those are our next ones.
So folks, that's it. We'll be back. We'll be back in 2 weeks with Fear. I do not know what next week's Runcible, or if it not a Runcible, or it will be a Gallifrey's Most Wanted presents of a different thing, depending on what Jeff's schedule is and my schedule is. But until then, do you have anything anything you're reading, listening to, you want to plug?
Yeah, I mean, I read a fantastic book. It's just not sure anybody else is ready for it because it messed with my head, but it's called Station 11, and it's a post-apocalyptic novel after, I think she wrote it in 2014.
Is that the one that HBO just did a big show of?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So,
I'm intrigued in it, but I watched a lot, I watched a lot of, during the pandemic, doing all those Stranger in Space episodes. I'm not really in the mood right now for post-apocalyptic.
Well, it's post-pandemic.
Yeah, that's
It's a pandemic, and so. But I read it because people I really respect all gave it 5 stars as a book, and so I was like, I read it, and it was great. I got to tell you, if you're into this, if that's
it's the kind of thing I like. There's a book
genius.
years ago I read called The Passage, where the government finds this blood from a bat, and it creates these vampires, and the book was all told in like aftermath. So it's all sections of a new Bible, new science journals from Fit, because it's not told in a linear fashion. You're jumping around to this character's birth and then 80 years in the future, stuff like that. And I like I like that kind of storytelling because it makes you go, and in a Tolkien kind of way, the world building is on that kind of level, because you have clips of how they would have, he had songs and language, so you understood it, so that has that. So that kind of book I do enjoy. Those are ones that really get into, because with the way my brain has been working in recent years is I like them because each chapter is its own little story. So I may check that out. I was reading in the car last night the first New Adventures novels. I'm only got a few more chapters. I'm trying to knock it out. So when me and Vic finish with Sylvester, I'm up to date.
Time refers to the Terrence Dicks time worm story Exodus, and it is and it makes a really good point that in this regeneration, the Doctor says might have 2 heads, might have none, right? And is
that what it comes from?
No. But it also says that the Dix novel emphasizes the alienness of the Doctor, that it could be. Cool. But it's fascinating to me that Doctor Who fans have long accepted that the Doctor could regenerate into something that was not humanoid.
Yeah,
they've long accepted that, but the idea of it being a woman is anathema, right? Like,
Oh, yeah.
this is the misogyny I'm tired of in the world right now, because anything but a woman. No head is better than a woman.
I wanted to shout out, there was a line, I forgot about this, but there's a line in this that comes from a Doctor Who comic book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I was talking about, me and Mark, in the episode we did about the 4-Doctor comic, was Absalom Dak came back in some Titan comics. He's a character I like, and it's like, I'm going to kill every last one of you, line. And it's great. I liked it, because I didn't realize that until I was reading this. It's an Absalom Dak. And I like that character.
Mm-hmm.
I was always wishing they could bring him into the show.
Mm-hmm.
Absalom Dak, Dalek Killer.
Mm-hmm.
He was created by some people I really like, especially the artist who passed last year, Steve Dillon.
Yeah.
Who's someone I loved. Well, folks, we will be back in 2 weeks. I will be back next week. and until then, you can catch us on Twitter at Gallifrey's MW Pod or at Runcible Report. Or if you're in the mood to listen to me jabber about comic books, you can catch me at Stop Let's Team Up. And until then, we look forward to seeing you all somewhere in time or space.